Welcome to You Had Me at Healthy. We're back again. The sun's shining today, which is nice.
The weather's a little bit better, the sunshine's coming out, but we do have our juices to start the podcast. So why don't you tell the audience what juices we have today?
Okay. We have a celery, lots of celery. It was kind of a whatever you have in the fridge situation. So I need to go grocery shopping, but it's still really good. So it's celery, pear, and lemon. Lots of celery.
Lots of celery. Okay, let's see. How much celery?
Costco size.
Good. You can taste the pear though. Just celery, I don't know how that would be, but the pear makes it taste pretty good.
Yeah.
So Natalie, I know we were talking about different topics to share with our audience, and one topic that's really relevant to our family are our children. And our kids are really busy with sports and having to eat while before, during, and after the sport. So a topic today for the audience is going to be how to fuel the youth athlete and our children. So Natalie, do you want to kind of introduce the topic to our audience?
Yeah, sure. So, like Jonathan said, we have two little athletes, and they've been in sports for a very long time, even though they're quite young, 8 and 10. And really, as we've made a lot of healthy changes, part of that is fueling them and helping them to be the best that they can be in their competitive sports, and how nutrition plays a role in setting them up for success. So, that's really what we're going to talk about today is some of the nutrition, some of the things that we do as a family to keep them at the top of their game. Also, I think what plays into that and what has made a positive impact is their mindset, and how really like the nutrition is fueling like that positive mindset that they have. And just kind of the ins and outs of living a very busy life with competitive athletes. Our son Jack plays AAA hockey and also AAA baseball. And then Rosie, she kind of does everything under the sun, but her main sport is actually competitive Irish dancing, which is really cool. So it keeps us busy.
Yeah, and when you're working in competitive sports and competitions, you're gonna have lots of practices, lots of weekends away, lots of time on the road, restaurants. You're gonna be navigating team events where the other children and families are more eating the standard American diet, and your kids are gonna be looking at those kids and those families, and it's easy to be influenced, even as a parent. If the entire
Yeah.
parent table is eating certain foods, there's definitely that pause there where you think, okay, I'm probably going to order something different, or I'm going to maybe be different, just being okay with that. So we're going to talk about it from the perspective of both the children and us as parents. So I guess, Natalie, what would be kind of a baseline for navigating the situation with kids who are really busy in activities, demanding both mentally, physically, kind of a baseline? What can you tell our audience is kind of just the starting point?
Well, I think it comes down to the foods that they're eating is really going to help set them up for success. And that's where I think we've really noticed the difference and where they've excelled in their sports even more. But as the baseline, we're a whole foods, plant-based family. We are busy and we are traveling a lot. So we do our best in the ways that we can. But I think setting just a foundation of this is how we eat as a family, regardless of where we are in the world and traveling, and trying to do the best that we can and making it a positive thing for the kids. I think it's interesting because I can tell that they've noticed a difference. Like specifically Jack this year, I think he's just become such a strong athlete and has so much endurance. That they're on board, and sometimes they do question it, and they want to have the junk or something like that. But we go back to kind of why we're doing it with them, and making them feel positive about it and not in a negative way. But we can talk also about just like what they do eat and some of the things that we.
I think it's a part what Natalie said that they kind of embrace it. They don't think about they're missing out on much. They're so used to eating certain foods that are positive for them that it becomes natural and becomes part of the routine. And it starts, of course, with just your food shopping at the grocery store, making sure that your pantry and refrigerator has the supplies in order to make this all happen. Because if you don't have the right
Yeah.
supplies in your house, it's really difficult if you get busy on the run. There's a game, a competition. You're just going to give them anything then, right? So I think it's a lot about planning ahead with your grocery shopping, and kind of setting a good foundation there. So I guess Natalie, since you
Yeah.
mostly grocery shop, I don't grocery shop as much. But what would you say is a baseline for any family that wants to have certain supplies in the house? Kind of different ideas there.
Yeah. So I do grocery shop a lot. I feel like I'm at the grocery store quite a bit. I do love Costco because you can get things like a lot of quantities. So for instance, the celery for the juice, it's already pre-washed. It's organic celery, but it's in a big package. And so we use that for juices, but also the kids like celery as a snack. I think the key is having enough food that the kids aren't hungry. They're athletes. They need food as fuel. And so we really view it as that way, as having plenty of cut up fruits and vegetables available and easy to pack into little bags or containers to bring with us. The other thing is like our kids eat a lot of nuts and, um, you know, like some kids might be picky and they don't love nuts, but our kids have kind of adopted that. And that really is like a good, healthy fat source and something that gives them, like more energy and some more satisfying in the car to have like we do like our own trail mix station so we can put like dried fruit in there and nuts and they can kind of mix and match. We also do a lot of individual hummus cups so they can have like seed crackers and hummus, the vegetables with the hummus. And I also do the little individual guacamole. Those are really good too. So just like more healthy than, a bag of chips or something that's just much more substantial because our kids are exercising multiple hours at a time and they need to be eating like an athlete would eat. And we're not treating them like just like, little Joey down the street eating, whatever, whatever junk food, because they are so dedicated to their sports and we put so much time and effort in that we want them to do their best. And so part of that is food. And I think that's how like the best athletes really train that way.
And little Joey, even though you're not playing sports, don't eat that stuff. Um, with what I observe is that, in our outings with our kids and their activities, like other kids are just eating foods like donuts and greasy foods and like big Slurpees and slushies and like
Yeah.
sure the kid probably is happy in the moment because it
It's
tastes
a
good,
dopamine rush too.
but it's not going to help them in their activity
Yeah.
right after. So it's really easy, just like your kid asks for something because it tastes good and you just give it to them because I'm hungry, but they're actually not going to satisfy their hunger by consuming these foods and it's not going to set them up for success. So one thing that we really focus on, like I'm always asking our kids, did you drink water, drink water, drink water? And sometimes they get a little annoyed, like, yes, I did. But I'm just trying to help them because I know they're going to feel better in the day. And like Natalie said, having the supplies in the refrigerator and the pantry, it's really easy just to pack and they're going to really enjoy it and make it easy for them to consume. Sometimes they're sitting in the car, you put it like in a
Yeah.
Ziploc bag and they can eat that. It also saves time. You don't need to stop off at the gas station or the grocery
Yeah.
the store to get things. You can actually get to places and not be late because you've planned ahead and your kids have their snack and they're satisfied. So it really all starts with the grocery store and doing those things.
Yeah.
Shifting to maybe when you're not at home and maybe we're on the road or we're out at hotels, kind of what are some thoughts you have for our audience who may be at hotels that are trying to get themselves and their family to eat well?
Yeah, when we're at the hotel, so when we do travel, I bring oatmeal, like dried, just plain oats, because you can make oatmeal in a microwave with water and add like dried fruit or the kids love freeze-dried strawberries, so that you can add that to like oatmeal. You can even add it to whole grain cereal. We do have some cereals that are like high fiber, low sugar cereals that our kids like to eat, and so we'll make sure we have our dairy-free milk, whether it's almond milk or unsweetened soy milk, cereal, fruit. I do wash blueberries ahead of time and pack them in a cooler. Costco, big, lots of blueberries, because blueberries travel really well and they don't get like mushy and all of that. So we bring berries and we bring nuts, like raw nuts. I also bring like either a healthy natural peanut butter or almond butter. And we have this chia jam brand that we really like. And I make almond butter like peanut butter and jelly, but like a much healthier version. Um, on whole wheat or whole grain bread. And that is such an easy thing to bring with you to a ball field, to a hockey rink. It tastes good. Most kids like peanut butter and jelly. Please avoid Jif and any of those brands that have palm oil in them. I recently tasted it just like randomly, and it was still in our pantry. I just tasted it, and it tasted so fake to me now that we eat like real peanut butter. So that's, not the best choice. We also tell our kids, I read one time that Tom Brady eats in like a peanut butter and jelly before games or something like that. And like kids are easily influenced by their people that they admire. And so he said, well, Tom Brady eats a peanut butter and jelly before a game. So, if it's good enough for him.
And we're waiting for Tom Brady to come on the podcast one of these days. So, Tom, if you're out there, we're happy to have you. And what Natalie's saying, I think one big rule is the less ingredients, the better. If,
Yeah,
if you look at a peanut butter that's sold at most grocery stores, there's going to be all sorts of oils and chemicals. But if you look at the right peanut butters, all you really need are the
just
peanuts,
has
right? I
peanut.
mean,
And there's some have a little salt just to give it a flavor. But I mean, it is so good.
right. And the breads, I guess tell the audience what type of bread should they be looking for versus what they should maybe not use.
Yeah. Ideally, it would be like an Ezekiel bread, which is a brand that is very whole grain. It's in the freezer section at the grocery store, which tells you, there's no preservatives in it. So you keep it in the freezer and you can thaw it or you can toast it. That's a really good bread. But if you can't find that, just look for the one that has the most whole grains, the least ingredients, higher fiber content. Definitely not, Wonder Bread or white bread.
Okay, yeah, because that's really important because if you're going to make the sandwich, you want to make sure that all the elements are kind of on the right track. And a lot of times when we're on the road, the breakfast is normally, obviously the first meal of the day gets them off to a good start and they can have a busy day. And
Yeah.
it's really tempting to go down to the breakfast
Holiday Inn.
buffet and
Yeah.
there's waffles and sugary cereals and sausages
Bacon.
and everyone's consuming that. You see like all our kids' teammates and they're all eating that. And that's their choice. But our kids sometimes bring down a bowl that we get from downstairs. We bring it upstairs. We fill up the cereal in the bowl, and we actually put the milk in it. And then our kids sit down with
Yeah.
cereal at the table. And in order to avoid like, oh, what's that? Or like they just think they're eating cereal, and it's kind of their own choice to eat the cereals that they want. And if they choose to share, that's great. But they kind of feel comfortable eating the foods that are going to help them throughout the day. And what I
Yeah.
think about is like you're investing so much time in the sport itself or the competition, the hotel,
Yeah.
the fuel. If you're going to do all that, you might as well set up your kids to have success that weekend. And the one thing you can control, you can't always control the outcomes of the games or
Yeah.
competitions, but you can control what they're actually eating. So that's kind of the way that we view it for our kids eating.
Yeah. I mean, you can control their eating and to some degree they're sleeping and what time they get to bed because there's a lot of early mornings in Rosie's Irish Dancing. We wake up at 5:30 in the morning to do her hair and it's quite a production. So she's dancing by 8 in the morning. And getting to bed, having a healthy dinner, not too late the night before. So she's not like digesting and having like this heavy dinner in her stomach. Like just having a really healthy dinner the night before, having a peaceful environment, getting to bed early so she can wake up energized, and then having a really healthy breakfast. It's just like fueling all of your cells and giving you all of that energy to really perform your best. You can't perform well on an empty stomach. I've seen parents give their kids, both sports actually, in hockey and Irish dancing, like pixie sticks or just like sugar and being like literally no food and just giving them a bunch of sugar. And that is like one of the worst things you can do. They might get like an instant rush, but they're going to be crashing. They're going to have headaches. They're going to need ibuprofen. It is not recommended. You want to have foods that are going to just make you the best that you can be, just like an Olympian. I can never imagine an Olympian downing a pixie stick or having a donut before an event. So, your kids shouldn't either.
Yeah, one of the big things is like when you're at a hotel and you maybe get back to the competition, they may be, hungry, and it's really easy to just give them something, even like after dinner before bed, if they want something. It's good to have a couple maybe like healthy snacks in the room if they get
Yeah.
back and they, just kind of take a shower and they want to relax a little bit. What are some of the healthy snacks that you can tell our audience that maybe not so much for meals, but just little
Yeah.
snacks that we can have available for our kids?
Yeah, well, they actually sell microwave popcorn with no oil or salt added at Whole Foods. And so you can bring microwave popcorn in the room. We like to sprinkle nutritional yeast or like a little seasoning on it. You can also, I haven't done it, but you can do microwave popcorn in a paper bag with just corn, like the kernels, without oil. So I guess we need to try that out. But so you can bring, have microwave popcorn. Usually there's a microwave in the room. We have like healthy seed crackers that we like to buy, like I said, with the hummus. Um, what other things are like fun that we bring?
We
Trying to
bring
think.
nuts, blueberries.
Yeah.
Sometimes we bring like some juices that are, bottled juices from our Whole Foods, the cold pressed juices.
And one thing I think that we do, that's what we try to do every city we go to. I'm like investigator on the phone looking for places to go. And kids typically like want ice cream and stuff like that on trips and like after dessert, after dinner. We try to find like smoothie places so we can all get like a smoothie and that's fun, or like an acai bowl and like they can put a couple chocolate chips on it and coconut, whatever they want. But that makes it like a treat. And, of course, we're not trying to restrict what they're eating. We're just trying to give them the most healthy foods possible. And I will say, like, healthy food is one of the easiest food to travel well with. Like a banana, there's nothing more convenient than eating a banana. That is like the most convenient food. It's more convenient than a bag of chips. So, bananas, apples, oranges, fruit is like nature's convenience food.
Yeah, and it's important to bring in these same snacks to the sporting event or the competition because there's going to be a time where you're away from your supplies in your room, and it's really easy
Yeah.
to be tempted by the foods that are at these competitions or around you, and those aren't necessarily the foods that you want to fuel because you may have multiple dances in a competition, there may be
Yeah.
multiple hockey games, multiple baseball games. So just kind of planning ahead and having those snacks, what can you tell our audience in terms of like the best way to maybe transport snacks, or is there a way that you do it if something's needs to be cold, or what would you say about that?
Well, I mean, I would just always have like a little lunchbox with me. So if it's like nothing that's too long, we'll have a little lunchbox. I have a cooler backpack that I got from Costco that looks really cool and keeps everything really cold for more like baseball when there's a double header. We have coolers that we bring. So you kind of just have to not be shy about bringing stuff.
Don't be afraid to roll the big cooler into the hotel. They may think something else is in there, but if they search you, all they'll see is celery, blueberries, nuts, and
Bottled water, yeah.
you'll be just fine.
And you know what's interesting? You go to some of these places and they say no outside food, but I have never had a problem with bringing a peanut butter and jelly. Like, no one has ever said, throw that carrot down. Like, don't eat those celery sticks. They don't love when you bring in like fast food or food from the outside, like restaurants, and eating it in the venue because they have a concession stand of more unhealthy food. But if you bring your own food and you have your own, nutritional needs and dietary like restrictions, I think it's 100% fine because I've heard people say, well, you're not supposed to bring in outside food. But I say break the rules on that
There's
one
a difference
until something.
between the law and the rules. So you could definitely break the rules if it means your health being better from the food you eat.
Yeah, until they have healthy food at the concession stand, I'm going to bring my own stuff.
I guess that's a good transition to, okay, let's scenario being Jack or Rosie, they're friends of their team. They just had an event and everyone's like, we're going to this restaurant. And the name of the restaurant, you think, oh, I don't know what's going to be there, what's to eat. What would you
Yeah.
tell moms and dads out there? Some advice about how to navigate a restaurant menu.
Yeah, well, I think our kids they really do love salads. I know they love salads. So we've gotten into the habit of always having a side salad before we have any meal. And you can always, I mean, I would say 99% of the time there's going to be a side salad at a restaurant. It might not be the best salad ever, but as long as you get that salad in first. If there's like a vegetable soup, we try to have that too. And then we just do the best to find the healthiest option on the menu. Um, if we're going to just like pizza and like everybody's getting pizza, we'll order a pizza just for like our family and a side, kind of so we can manage the pizza instead of all the pepperoni. And we'll get as many vegetables. We're like, what vegetables do you have? Okay, we'll take all the vegetables on the salad or on the, not sorry, the pizza. We'll ask for light cheese. We'll just manage it the best we can. We're not going to starve and not eat, but we are definitely intentional about just doing the best we can for our kids and for ourselves when we're not, when we're at a tournament or away.
And you'd be surprised, like, we went to Pizza Uno, and at a convenience, we went there and we asked for lots of vegetables on the pizza. It ended up being one of the better vegetable pizzas we ever had, where it was actually fresh, like, cooked
Yeah,
vegetables on
they have
top of the
like
pizza.
roasted zucchini and stuff they put on it, big mushrooms. It was like, wow, it was impressive actually.
Where each bite you take, you're actually getting more vegetables than the pizza itself. And if you do like cheese, and what I'd say is like really focusing on the salad as like
The
60 to
main thing.
75% of the main thing. But have a little piece or two of the pizza for some taste, as long as you're filling up on the vegetables and say, okay, that was kind of something that I'm going to adjust later, maybe get back to more of closer to the ideal meal. But it's all about kind of managing the situation, letting your kids hang out with their friends and socialize with the parents, just kind of managing the menu, looking for the very best options in the moment.
And we would never like shame our kids, they make their own decisions. We let them decide and they're just so informed now that they make their own decisions and we're proud of them. They make great decisions and we don't need to manage them or, say don't have that, don't do that. Like, we're never in the place of like trying to make them feel badly because it's a positive experience and that's really how they view it too.
The biggest change you can make in what they're ordering is just the drink, I think, because I remember back in the day, our
Yeah.
kids would order like a big Sprite or lemonade, and that could be like, hundreds of grams of sugar, and you're expecting them to go back to the event and perform well.
And they're ready for a nap, literally, like really ready for a nap after having like multiple sodas or drinks.
Just getting them to switch to water or soda water, like our kids automatically go to that. So that's a great start if
Yeah.
they order that, because their friends are going to be ordering lemonades and other things. Just getting them transitioning away from that, that's a really big start. And your kids kind of getting used to it, like Natalie said, making the decision. So if our kids are ordering for themselves, they'll go with the salad instead of the fries. And I've heard comments like, "Oh, you're not getting fries," and our son Jack's like, "No, I'm getting a salad," and his friends just leave him alone, right? And then
Yeah.
it's just a matter of being comfortable and enjoying it. And it's our kids have really progressed since these changes been put in place, and we're really proud of them. I know I'm really proud of our kids at
Yeah.
the restaurants.
Yeah. And I'm just so proud of them in their sports. Like they're so dedicated to what they do. They want to be the best that they can be. And I think they're just that type of personality where they just work really hard and they want to be great at what they do. And so that's part of it. And I think they love how they're feeling. But one thing I notice is just how much the endurance aspect has improved for both of them. They don't get out of breath like very easily. I notice that myself, even when I'm running. Like I felt like I can run for a long period of time without getting too tired. They can last all day. Rosie's had Irish dance workshops where it's like the whole day and she can keep going. She's just very resilient. And she's fueling herself the right way and I think she's noticing the results and how she's progressing really quickly and so, it makes you want to keep going.
Yeah, so overall message is that getting your kids to kind of understand the why, baby steps, small changes, they then see the own difference that it's making in their own lives and the differences by eating these foods, and just giving them space to make their own decisions and supporting them. And over time, as a family, it becomes very natural to make certain decisions with foods and eating the foods that are going to fuel your success. And for our topic here, fueling the sports and the activities.
Yeah.
Did you have any funny stories to share with the audience, Natalie, from this week?
Oh, um,
Do you want me to go
you go
first?
first because I didn't think about
Okay.
that.
Well, one we were talking about a couple days ago, and we were actually there. So our kids really like to get, Mexican food, and they like to go to Pancheros because they have tofu and they get beans, tofu, vegetables, and all that. But our local Pancheros, the people there are so nice, and I know they made a recent change in the tofu selection. But anytime they see us, they're like, "Call us ahead of time. We can make you the old tofu. We'll do it," because we're like one of the only families that will get tofu in our meals. And yesterday there was a couple people ahead of us and everyone was getting steak, chicken, making
Yeah.
their choices. But then the tofu family was next, and everyone they kind of smile like and they get excited to see us and they're like, "Are you sure they you like this tofu?" And we said, "Yeah, it's good, it's good." So it's funny that people will recognize the changes you're making,
Yeah.
noticing that sometimes you order things that are slightly different, but they embrace it, and our kids feel really good about it, and they feel kind of special when they go there, and the people are really nice there. So that was more just my observation of the
Yeah.
week. It's fun to just be noticed for being a little bit different, but in a good way.
Yeah, that's a good observation. And it's funny because, well, the one thing about that is the beans, having a variety of beans. I think beans are really good for athletes. Just it's such a complex carbohydrate with so much fiber and protein. And it digests slowly. And so that's a really good thing to incorporate if you can add it to a salad or put it in a wrap, or if you have like a restaurant like a Pancheros, which is kind of like a Chipotle or somewhere where you're on the road, to get a bowl or something with beans is really going to help your kids for their sports too. So
Yeah, I think, when we go to Pancheros, we're on the road, our kids just get the tofu with the beans, the vegetables, a little bit of guacamole. It's just so much different than like going to get a burger, fries, and shake. Like just imagine the
yeah,
difference in performance with those two meals. So just being mindful of your choices and kind of having fun with it and telling funny stories within your family and kind of sharing. That's kind of how we really enjoy the new lifestyle we've created for ourselves.
yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if I have a funny story. Well, I guess this week it was St. Patrick's Day. And so I think it was like a little different. We didn't go out drinking heavily or nothing like that. Not that we did so much in the past, but um, I made a plant-based shepherd's pie and the house smelled so good. And it was the first time I've done that because I used to make shepherd's pie in the past for, St. Patrick's Day or just in general, and it put lots of vegetables, and the kids were really happy and enjoying it. And we also had a really big salad and broccoli, so I had lots of vegetables. But we're still able to enjoy holidays and special events, even though, we're plant-based. It just takes a little creativity, and there's so many recipes online. You can find new traditions. And that was one thing Rosie said. She's like, can we do this as a tradition? She's very into like doing things this, a certain way every year and making it special. So I said, yeah, sure, we can make it a tradition.
Well, it was really tasty. Everyone enjoyed it, and you'll share the recipe with the audience.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, sounds good.
So
Anything
anything,
else? Do we have anything else?
the only thing I want to just say besides the food is just the mindset. And I think our kids have this like peacefulness about them and calm demeanor. They're very like social, but they also like their time alone. And one thing I've worked with them on is just visualizing their success. So thinking about hitting the ball, hitting it, over the fence. And it's crazy because Jack did it the day after we talked about that. Um, just visualizing the success. They're very focused. They put their headphones on in the car. They think about what they want to do. And it's just that whole environment that we're trying to create for them that's very at peace. There's no stress. We're the parents. We're their biggest cheerleaders. We're not their coaches. We let their coaches coach. And we just want them to be as healthy and as happy and positive as they can be, because if they're going in with that healthy, positive mindset, they're going to be so much more successful.
Yeah, that's a good observation. You're just setting them up for success, good habits, getting them in a good mindset. And I can imagine both of them in the car right now with their headphones on,
Yeah.
having their little Ziploc bag of like nuts and fruit, and knowing
Yeah.
that when they arrive that they're set up for success, and then it's going to ultimately help them, perform in their event.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of a great season ahead of baseball and spring hockey, more Irish dancing, and we're busy, but we love it and we wouldn't have it any other way.
So see you next week.
See you next week.